Hello everyone, this is Minoxen bringing you another high-definition commentary of Heroes of Newerth. Today I'm going to be bringing you the UNGL Zowie Cup Round 2 matchup of Genesis Gaming facing off against the Gank Response Unit. I'm joined with Mr. John Hatch here, the owner of Genesis Gaming, and we're getting ready to enjoy this matchup. How you doing, John?
I'm doing well. I'm trying not to be biased in this match, but I'm going to hopefully have my team win out here. We're hoping to, win the first two rounds and be playing against Online Kingdom. That's the goal, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here in this first, second round game.
Yeah, it looks like we've got you're all lined up against a pretty decent, I would call it a semi-competitive clan here so far. The PSRs that you see here before you are public PSRs. They're not necessarily real representative of these players. I did do a little bit of research and looked at some of the team matchmaking PSRs on some of these guys, and they're all closer to around 1800 or so, which is a pretty decent level. And they all maintain over a 1 KDR, which is at least a good sign. Meanwhile, Genesis Gaming pulling out there with a nice, of course, all of these, I would say the vast majority of these guys you should be able to recognize. Eclipse, of course, most everyone's going to recognize Eclipse. Yozer, or I'm not sure if that's how he likes it pronounced, but being in that EHH clan, they're typically kind of like a feeder clan. They provide players to a lot of different groups if they need them. Also a very good player there. Zaxriok, or how would you?
Zaxarok.
Zaxarok.
I'm gonna throw in here Zaxarok. They're actually brothers, and they're from Costa Rica. So there's some communication barriers with them, but they're really, really, really good players. So I just want to point out that there's something that I've been working with personally because I think they have almost unlimited potential. They're great players, but they primarily speak Spanish and aren't the best of English. So it's a bit of Eclipse's issue as dealing with them as the captain of the team, communicating and having them work with him. I mean, that's going to be one of the keys that hopefully we see in this game. And those are those two players. Very, very, very good players.
Well, good. Yeah, the communication is one of the most important things in Heroes of Newerth, and I mean, even if you can speak just a little bit of English or get some pings on the map, that's the key part here that you're looking for in a lot of these. Just the ability to recognize, hey, I need to say something, or I need to signal to my teammate that I'm about to do something, and a lot of that gets put together with actually working with them over a long period of time. We do have the bans out currently. I'll go ahead and go over those real quick here. We saw Torturer was the first ban, followed by Plague Rider, then Puppet Master, Chipper, Corrupted Disciple, Hellbringer, Kraken, and Pharaoh. Not terribly surprised by the vast majority of those. Torturer and Chipper, I would say, I might be a little off-put by, but I don't know if anyone in this particular lineup is well known for playing those heroes, but it's not something I'm used to seeing.
Well, I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I personally love playing Chipper. He's, in my opinion, one of my favorite characters in the game. That magic buffer is way underused at early levels. I mean, having 600 extra hit points in a team fight is pretty awesome. So I am a firm believer in Chipper's goodness. But I'm going to have to agree, we see some pretty standard teams right now. Nothing too surprising. iBEG's got some... Will and Fade are very, very good players. They're a little above the rest of their team, in my opinion. And Luna and Myrmidon, I think, are pretty good characters for them. So hopefully we get some challenging matchups from those two.
Yeah, on the Hellborn team so far, we do have the picks out for the vast majority of them here. I guess the Legion's going to be finishing up soon here. That'd be interesting if they go with an Accursed. That'd be kind of... Wow, they do.
I personally, again, I love Accursed. I think a lot of, in Han, magic damage kind of reigns supreme, and a lot of competitive teams pick heroes without hit points. And Accursed essentially adds hit points to your entire team, and does damage at the same time. He's one of my favorite heroes, and personally, if I'm playing with my team Genesis on the left here as Legion, I pick Accursed because I'm not nearly as good as them. So I try and make up for that by shielding my teammates. And I mean, you just hit R once you're level 6 and no one's going to want to hit you because it's just a waste of time because you have that invulnerability for 4 or 5 seconds while still helping your teammates that don't have a lot of hit points. So that's my take on them.
I'm really hoping this I'm just gonna call him I, Brown in this case, since it's a whole bunch of capital I's. If he goes Rampage, that would be really interesting, but I wouldn't anticipate, that Soul Stealer would be something I'd expect a little more there. But we do have the full
absolutely.
Legion team picked out.
There might be an L mixed in.
There might be. I don't know, they're all so close together, but gotta love those names.
I hate names like that.
Yeah.
Those are the people you just rage at. And we still see Soul Stealer, which is a lot more typical, a lot more normal, and hopefully he can kind of carry them. Soul Stealer is one of those heroes that he is, in a pub game, reliant on himself, but in a pro game, completely reliant on his team. If you're a Soul Stealer, you're gonna probably hopefully get farmed, but your ult and other things are dependent on your team at a very high level of play. So hopefully that works out for him. I mean, he's a great hero, and
oh yeah, Soul Stealer's been one of those that's been recognized for a long time as being, someone that you have to try and keep from farming too much, but if he does get held down early game, he can just get his farm right back up to where it needs to be with just, some nice stacking from his teammates or, finally getting out of that bad situation. And Soul Stealer's just one of those people who can really get turned back around even if he has a bad start. But we do see all of the teams are picked out here. We have Thunderbringer, Valkyrie, Bubbles, Magmus, and Accursed rounding out the Legion team. I'm going to assume that they're going to line up, I'd say a tri-lane, probably with Magmus, Valkyrie, and Accursed. Thunder's going mid, Bubbles going to take the solo lane, and that would mean, what do we have going for the Hellborn? On the Hellborn team, we have Slither, Aluna, Myrmidon, Behemoth, and Soul Stealer, which we already mentioned. And Soul Stealer, no-brainer where he's going. He's going to be heading middle. Top, we are going to see Slither rolling out solo, taking the solo lane, going to be facing off against Bubbles. I'm going to give the edge to Slither on that, just because Slither's such a nasty one to be in a solo lane against. He can win just about every time. Problem is, what do you do with a solo Slither?
Slither is an evil, evil bastard. I hate laning against him. If you ever in a melee lane against Slither, good luck. That's all I'm saying. Bubbles should fare fairly well, but we'll see what happens.
Oh, a little bit of early action going out here. We saw Accursed running out a little early there, getting caught out. Threw down, I'm guessing that's a little bit of a panic ward. I don't know if we're going to see any blood action from this or not. They don't really have the most offensive tri-lane on this Legion side. And that's what I was going to mention on Accursed earlier, is that, Accursed, typically when I see that, or whenever I've been in cast with other people, that's when they see an Accursed, they're looking at a defensive tri-lane. The Valkyrie setup for the arrow, since she did go and skill into that level 1, along with the Magmus Lava Surge, will set them up nicely, but they're not going to have a huge amount of follow-up since the Curse doesn't really have a slow or anything. He'll be able to add some extra HP by shielding them, but it's kind of an odd
I totally agree with you here, and it's one of those things, if you're going to put a Curse, you want to be on the defensive side, which they are on the defensive side, but really it's one of those things that I think against a team like MSI, it wouldn't work out well, because MSI is not going to make the mistake. Against a lesser team, you hope that they overbite, so to speak, and try too hard to get a kill, and that's where Chris comes in offensively, because they maybe take 1 or 2 tower hits, he throws a shield on, and then all of a sudden you got a Magmus stun or something like that. So, but I do agree with you. I think that he is a defensive player, and in this case you're going to hope for the Hellborn to make a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, because whenever they, you do have a really nice tri-lane. I really like the tri-lane setup here from the Hellborn. I would probably wager it a little bit higher above the Legion so far, just because you have the Myrmidon, you have the Behemoth, you got some really good disable potential. Myrmidon by himself, even after having received, I think this is post patch where he has hit all of his mana costs increase substantially. I can't really tell right now. I think it is, yeah.
It is post. It is post. And also, yeah, that is just a monster lane. Aluna and Behemoth and Myrmidon. I mean, it could be a little bit better, but that is not a lane that I want to be against. And that's one of those things that where a Curse really does help, because if you are, they all have escapes. Magmus and Valkyrie both have escapes, so they can get out. But if you're someone that doesn't have an escape against that lane, you will get first blooded. But a Cursed and 2 escapes really does prevent against that. So we'll see how it works out. I think it's one of those instances where better play will provide the victor in this case. It's not a matchup where the one team beats the other.
Yeah, and that's an interesting way to look at it there, thinking about the, as it is possibly still set up for a defensive tri-lane, even though Valkyrie did go ahead and skill her arrow level. And actually, Myrmidon maybe going to be going down bottom, is going down pretty quick, but nice save from Behemoth there. Very nicely done, managing to save Myrmidon, letting him get backed up a little bit there, forcing the shield to go off on that Magmus, but a good back and forth so far on this bottom lane. That's where we're probably going to see the vast majority of the action, but I'm going to go real quick. Also, to the viewers there, I have the camera scrolled out. That is a new feature with this new spec UI. I really like it this way. You guys can leave comments in the section down below letting me know, do you like it panned out like this? Because I myself do. It lets you see all of the team action, lets you see everything. It's just, I really like it. But anyways, we have Thunderbringer facing off against Soul Stealer so far. What are the stats there? Let's go to the stats page on that. Or, does it actually have creep kills and things like that? I'm not used to this new UI.
Well, it doesn't have that exactly, but you
there
got
it is. Okay, there's the
gold and I'm sorry,
16 and
Thunderbringer. It's got a lot of gold.
Yeah, he's sitting on 295. Oh, and there we go. The top lane finally being decided as Bubbles manages to pick off Slither there. It looked like he got the Gore taunt off in addition there. So that is a nice way for Bubbles to go ahead and get control of that lane. He does have the early Guardian Ring. He's probably going to finish that up into a Ring of the Teacher here pretty soon. That'll give him nice lane control, a little bit of extra. Behemoth roaming towards middle here might be trying to set something up. There's no wards to be able to spot this either. So maybe we'll see a little bit of a gank action here middle. That would be a nice thing to
Thunder's
secure.
only defense is the boots, so we'll see if that pays off. That's a lot of damage that can be dealt pretty quickly between those two, but boots are really helpful in that situation. I mean, they get their initial 2 nukes, the stun, and then probably 1 nuke from Soul Stealer, but that would be it.
Oh, and at bottom we see the rune race going out there as Magmus manages to pick up that regeneration before Behemoth could cut him off to it. No real actual benefit there since neither of them got anything out of it, but interesting little tidbit of drama as we saw. Oh, they were thinking about going down at bottom. Actually, Aluna maybe going to be going down here. A nice stun from Behemoth to save the day once again.
Oh, a healing pot.
Oh, and a healing pot from the teammate there. Very nice.
Absolutely, that was interesting. There's a lot of high-level play there. Maybe we didn't give iBEG enough credit there. They did some good things. You get a shield which will blow up and kill Luna, but luckily she has that healing pod to save her.
Oh, and we did get the gank alert going out on Bubbles there. He was almost... Oh, Valkyrie maybe going to go down. It gets away at the last second. And who did we have go down there? We had, Aluna going down back at the tower. Dying, I'm assuming, to the fire shield since his Cartwright is not on cooldown. So that's unfortunate.
Go accursed. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Again, it comes back to one of those things. At a very high level of play, it comes down to... Han is a game of mistakes. And a lot of people... You don't realize, even at a high level of play, how many mistakes are made. It's a very complicated game. It's all about choosing and knowing your teammates and what they're going to choose. And having a cursed really kind of prevents those mistakes from being so damaging to you. So if the other team does make a mistake, it's more damaging to them and less damaging to you. That's my take on a cursed.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seals up that, it gives you that much more opportunity to prevent those mistakes from happening, as we're going to see a little bit of action middle here. There we go, Bubbles going out on his Soul Stealer. Behemoth is off to the side. He throws up the block onto Thunderbringer, but it's not going to stop this Bubbles from doing his damage here. There we go, does go ahead and take down Soul Stealer. Unfortunately, Behemoth was caught a little bit out of position, is going to narrowly dodge the Valkyrie arrow, which was the follow-up. That
was close.
Just a little bit of miscommunication there. Well, a little bit of timing, actually, I would say. The Legion was a little quicker on getting their gank off, and Behemoth wasn't quite where he needed to be in order to stop it from happening. I think he probably could have...
Soul Stealer was trying to... He was relying on his team, a little more help there. That's my guess. And, it's one of those things you get to play with the team more, and it seemed like he was relying.
Oh, and bottom we see a 4.5 second arrow going out on Aluna. She may go down here. Nice stun from Behemoth to delay the inevitable, though. She does go down. Magmus using the Steam Bath to escape out there. And yet again, another kill going down onto Aluna. She's now 0-2 in this bottom lane. So I'm going to say that I'm just going to go out and say that the Legion so far seems to be winning this bottom lane. They seem to be doing pretty, I'd say middle. It looks like it might be close to a tie. What do we have? Thunderbringer's at 34 creep kills, 7 denies, and Soul Stealer is at 28 and 7. So still pretty close. Thunderbringer maybe edging out a little bit there. He did get that kill with Bubbles' help there on that Soul Stealer, so that puts Soul Stealer down a little bit.
Thunder has a little bit less experience and a little more gold. So, I mean, it's pretty even. I mean, who should win, that's for the viewer to determine, but right now it's actually pretty much even.
Yeah, actually, if we go to the gold per minute tab, you see that right now Bubbles is leading so far. And speaking of Bubbles, he's trying to take down Slither top. He is at level 7 right now, while Slither is still at 6. Looks like he's going to take him down pretty easily here. There we go, the Gore taunt going off yet again. This poor Slither not catching a break. I really think that he should have been able to have won that lane against Bubbles, but maybe just a couple of missteps here and there, and it set him down in that snowball effect to where that Bubbles is just kind of starting to run away with the lane. I mean, he's level 8 now versus a level 6 Slither. Slither has 2 deaths. Bubbles has 3 kills so far. He's got a really good game going for him so far. Gonna have to see what... I mean, since Legion's basically winning bottom, they're kind of winning middle, and they're definitely winning top. I'd definitely say things are looking good for your squad here.
Yeah, they are looking good for the squad, absolutely. I'm not going to argue with that. I do agree, though, that Slither should probably win against Bubbles. Zax is a very good player solo. He's, like I said in the beginning, his biggest problem is communication, so in a solo lane, I wouldn't want to be against him, that's all I'm saying. But, you know, Bubbles is a pretty good hero at not dying.
Yeah, there's a good example, and combined that with the accursed shield going in there, had the Magnus go in. Oh, and what do we have going down middle? We had, looks like Thunderbringer going down to a combination of Myrmidon, wow, getting out of there with 15 HP, and Soul Stealer sitting pretty. Looked like Soul Stealer did get the kill on that, though, so that's going to help him out a little bit mid, maybe helping tip that scale back into his favor. But we still have...
finally a kill for the Hellborn.
Yeah.
They're the evil enemy to me, but you know, it's one of those things, I wouldn't count this, I mean, at a high level of play, you see a lot of times a 10-3 game completely turn around, because...
Oh, because some teams are just lined up for early.
Somebody farming, or... Yeah, exactly. Some teams are lined up for early. The tri-lane wins, but it doesn't matter because the other one has a farmer or something in the outside lane. I mean, that's not a big deal. Oh, yeah, he is in trouble. Thunderbringer gets blown up, and that's what we were anticipating earlier. And that's one of those things. It's like sometimes that happens, and it's obviously bad for Legion team. But how bad is it? It depends on what happens in the other 2 lanes. Again, I go back to those viewers that aren't so hardcore. They're at a high level of play. The game is very, very different, and you're willing to sacrifice your own livelihood for what happens for the team. So in that regard, honestly, it's probably better for the Hellborn because they didn't get a lot. Legion didn't get a lot in the outside lanes with that death. But, oof, almost a 5-second arrow bottom.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay,
just barely feared. That's what I was making noise at there. He was lined up for it and barely made it around the edge of those trees. Nicely done there, just on that little... I don't think that he was going to be able to dodge it other than they just happened to reach the edge of those trees, so... but top, we do see... it looks like Slither's managed to even out the experience gap a little bit. Has picked up some items, but it looks like Bubbles is still going to be in pretty good control of this lane so far. We do have the gank alert going out on Thunderbringer, as actually that was pretty accurate. Looked like Soul Stealer...
had deja vu right there.
Did he do his...
Except for he didn't die this time.
Yeah. That's surprising.
He did not double nuke. He did not double nuke. That's a mistake. He should have been able to...
That's what I was looking at on his moves there. I didn't see that was on cooldown, so I was kind of curious. Oh, and there we go. We're going to see... Oh... Looks like Valkyrie might...
He pays the ultimate price for his mistake.
Oh.
And at bottom.
And Magnus going down there as well. Oh, and we had apparently Bubbles getting Soul Stealer there middle, I'm guessing. Yep, there he is, along with Thunderbringer.
We need a split screen for that.
Yeah, I know. Be able to do the old custodian trick and have all the different cameras showing at the same time. That is a lot of editing, though, and I am too lazy for that. But custodian, he's...
Well, this game probably isn't at that level, but we do see the Hellborn at 4-7 here. They've pulled up in the kills for the heroes, and you know that's good for them. Tower kills even. Nothing has been decided there, and so a lot still has to be determined in this game.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no blatant carries with a heavy advantage.
Oh, we're looking at, you know, like a 600, 700 experience lead, and a gold lead is, you know, pretty much negligible at like 100 to 200 range. So, I'd say that, yeah, this is still absolutely anybody's game. Something to keep an eye on, I guess, is so far, do we have any interesting item pickups since we're about 12 minutes into this game? I've got the tabs all pushed out there. Bubbles does have his Steam Boots, Bottle, and Ring of the Teacher. We're going to see, oh, what the, okay, I saw that Thunder was low. We're also going to see, what else do they have on that squad? I guess Bubbles is the only one with really any serious farm. Let's look at the gold per minute tab. Bubbles almost at the 300 gold per minute mark. Soul Stealer following closely below at about 260, followed by Slither and Thunderbringer. Wow, Slither actually maintaining a pretty decent... I guess it's because Bubbles keeps leaving that lane, and Slither manages to pick his farm back up every chance that he gets there and just keeps at it. As there we go, a combination going down onto Soul Stealer. That nice global ult.
That'll hurt the gold per minute for him. It's one of those things, when you're a carry for a team, in a pub game, you do not want to get... Oh, we got to pause here. You do not want to get pulled into a position in a pub game as a carry, as the best player, to do things that you're not supposed to. At the highest level of play, you won't see that type of thing. They will intentionally give, if they have the option, a kill to a carry. They will do what they can to benefit the carry. But in a lower level game, let's say you're a great player, 1950, and you join a pub, and you're playing with 1500s. You kind of have to do everything in that game. So a hero like Soul Stealer, I mean, you'll probably be able to just dominate those kids. But if you have to tank, or if you have to initiate, or if you have to do all of these other very important things in Han, at that level of play, it will definitely hurt your play. So it's kind of like you don't want to be forced into doing more than what your role is. You have the tri-laners tri-lane, you have the middles solo middle, I mean, that type of thing.
Yeah, that's, I mean, you definitely see a lot more of the distinct roles develop sometimes in later, you know, especially like a group that everyone's going to recognize. You've got like MSI, you know, you've got No Tail is the absolute guaranteed mid, you know, every single game you see, you know that's where he's going. He's going to pick a hero that can do well there. Even if he picks an oddball hero, like one of the most memorable games I've had was like watching him as Voodoo Jester middle. You know, it's kind of a wasted solo, because what's Voodoo Jester going to do with all of his solo experience and gold? But, you know, there's definitely a lot of those games to where there's people who have their roles, and then, you know, people like Toronto, you know, person who is really well known for being a support player for a long time, and then finally said, hey, you know what, I can carry, and now he's one of the more famous for being able to do that as well. So, it's nice to see.
I think that you'll see a lot of very high level carry. I think most people learn to carry if they're really, really good, and then they have to transition, because when you're, like I said, if you're trying to go up in PSR and stuff like that, the best idea for you to go up quickly is to be a carry. But at a high level, there's definitely a giant thing for role players. The people that always want to be in the team fight, things like that, as opposed to farmers. Alright, we're back in the action now.
Yeah, we're going to see, as the pause comes out here, Valkyrie, I have not been super impressed with these arrows at times, especially when you have a Magnus on your team who's lining up these stuns. I mean, you don't always have to go for the 5-second arrow. Slither actually taking a lot of damage top is going to be forced back, and Bubbles eating quite a bit of damage since he has the ultimate on him from, I almost called him Venomancer. Slither, going back to my Dota heritage. As we're going to see Soul Stealer coming back to mid here. And what's that?
I said it's a Hydra from Dota.
Yeah.
That spits acid. But a nice deny from Zax at top. I mean, that's really all you can hope for. You eventually should lose the lane there. I mean, Venomancer, as he's known, is much better pushing than Bubbles, or aka Fairy Dragon. Puck, I loved Puck back in the day. Cute.
Yeah. Yeah, I never really did. I'm not much of a Bubble player, and I didn't really care much for Puck, but there's definitely some of those Dota heroes that I miss that I don't think we'll ever get to see. I'm really glad that they edited Engineer to resemble at least a little bit of Techies, so he was one of my favorites, going carry Techies. Of course, back in the day, Dota, everyone carried, so it was always fun.
Techies was just, I mean, if you wanted to just have some casual good fun and make angry, raging teenagers, Techies was the guy to be. But, Engineer, I think, is the best he's been in a long... I've really disliked a lot of Engineer's mechanics up until recently, so I'm happy with where he is.
Yeah, I like the changes that they did recently, too, to buff him up a little bit, make sure that they normalized his ultimate damage. Here comes an arrow from... There's a 5-second arrow. They're not... Are they going to go for it? There they go.
You don't want it.
Bubbles going into silence and come in on this. Magnus waiting to land his stun, did not get the double. Oh, so close. Slither, is he going to get away? No, he goes down to the accursed shield. Behemoth throwing down the ultimate, trying to pick off this Valkyrie, not going to be able to do it. They're dancing around this tire. Oh, nice double stun coming out from Magnus. Bubbles following up with the Shell Surf. Very nicely done there as the Legion takes that that exchange 3-0, and they get a tower, so nicely done there.
That's the type of push that really emphasizes Accursed. You cannot do that without him. And, I mean, realistically, they probably it should have been a 2-1, like a 2 kills for 1 loss, maybe the tower too. But to come out 3-0 there is absolutely awesome. Accursed played it correct. Well, I was concerned at first because he shielded Bubbles, but it was smart because the tower was on Bubbles, so it made it explode, doing more damage, and he got a heal off too. I mean, again, that's one of those things that Accursed can help you do, and they knew it and they did it, and wow, good job.
Yeah, when you've got a lot of these heroes that, you know, they can continuously keep dishing out more and more damage the longer that they're around in these fights. A hero like Accursed, even though he doesn't have any disables himself, you know, he does have that ability to keep these guys in the fight and keep them, you know, keep them active. Because, I mean, Valkyrie had absolutely nothing at the end of that, was pretty much just, you know, walking death. And after a few heals from Accursed, he's back up and ready to fight it. Behemoth stun coming out here as they're going to try and defend this tower. Dang it, Slither ultimate coming out. There goes Magnus going down to the Aluna power throw. 3-second arrow. Is they're going to be forced to back this up, I'm guessing. Yes, they are.
Good arrow, but good time to leave.
Yep, that's they already lost one there. It was just unfortunate Magnus happened to get caught with the Fisher stun there, but overall, pretty decent, I guess, given the circumstance. They did get the tower, and they lost only a Magnus, so I'd take that trade.
Towers are even now, and aside from that, Legion does have more gold per minute as far as the team goes. I would give them the advantage. Obviously, 6 kills up is going to do something like that. But there's still plenty of, I mean, a lot can happen here, especially with towers even. One thing I just want to point out to the not-so-great players is that if you have an 11-5 lead, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, if you have an 11-5 lead with 4 tower lead, that means a lot, but those things are not always the same, and it's important to realize the difference. And this game is actually still very, very competitive. We'll see what happens going forward.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at maybe a 3,000 gold lead and about a 1,500 experience lead. And, I mean, I've seen games get completely turned around on their head with, like, a 15 to 20,000, you know, in those categories. Especially late game, to where one big genocide can change that 10,000 experience lead down to, you know, like a 5,000 or less. And it can definitely flip-flop really easy. And it's, you know, like you said, it is a game for mistakes. You know, one team happens to get impatient and makes a move, and they end up losing a team fight. Well, that team fight might have just cost them the game because now the other team's going to be able to push. And speaking of pushing, we've got 4 of the Legion teams lining up here, with Bubbles maybe going to pick up a TP. Nope, I think he just picked up his portal key. And they are going to go in top.
Eclipse can do some of that big damage from mid. I'm guessing Thunderbringer's going to make a difference here. And Soul Stealer. Oof, that's a rough engage. The big stun from Behemoth there really threw a wrench in the plan of the Legion team.
Yeah, that was really, really unfortunate there, as we're going to see Bubbles picking up a double kill at bottom, taking down Fade V, as well as his buddy there. Who's the other one that he got? I guess Will would be how I would say that.
Yeah, that is Will. Will's actually a very good player. Valk in trouble at top and just barely gets away. Again, it's one of those things that Cursed, he limits your ability to make mistakes if he's played correctly. And what might have been a death is no longer a death.
Yeah, I mean, just especially since now he has finished his...
Depends how long Yasser stays in there.
Yeah, since he's finished his Ring of Sorcery now, he's just really got so much capabilities there to keep his team in the fight. Yeah, throwing out those shields, throwing out heals. He is going to go ahead and finally back it up towards base there, probably go ahead and get some regen on himself. But as far as...
I know I've said in the past that I like a curse, but, you know, if you build something like a, you know, a Ring of Sorcery for your team or something along those lines, he provides that support. And the thing is that he can transition quickly in a late game to... Because he gets assists, no matter what, he will get assists. He can transition into a bit of a carry. And he's one of those players that's good throughout the entire game.
Yeah, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's been the one doing the vast majority of the warding. I can't find one of their... Yeah, I think he is doing the warding. I think he's trying to let Magnus earn up to a PK right now, and he has been doing a lot of the heavy lifting on the wards. I don't think that I've seen a single ward come out of Magnus yet, and that's not a bad thing, as we're going to see Myrmidon get blown up top. But that's not a bad thing to see, you know, Curse taking the heavy load there and doing the warding, especially whenever you have the explosive initiation power of someone like Magnus. That's going to be a huge thing. As a Luna going to go down bottom. There we go. Another Gore Taunt going off. Jeez, he's on a bloodbath. What is that Bubbles at? Oh, his top. Now we've got action. There's the Magnus. Oh, the Magnus ultimate does get off. Behemoth not able to land the stun on that.
Yeah.
That is... Oh... That is really not good.
I had to say it once. Something that's probably less apparent to viewers is that Bubbles has been dominating. Anytime he is alone, he gets a kill or two. He's 11-0. I've been watching this game, and I have no idea that has happened, because I've been watching team fights. But to have a solo, I mean, it's Bubbles, too. He's more of a team fight hero, in my opinion. 11-0? You do not... Apparently, you do not want to be in a lane alone against him. That is awful. And on the side note, aside from him, the game's pretty even, but 11-0 is gigantic.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's one of the things of, you know, Bubbles having that early situation that he had up in lane, where he was winning against Slither, got a couple of early kills on Slither, got that nice early advantage, and then he took that advantage and went to other lanes, whereas Slither... You know, even though Slither was keeping up in gold farm because he was taking advantage while Bubbles was gone, Bubbles was off causing havoc in other lanes and was causing issues. As we're going to see a big team fight maybe going out here. There's Magnus going in with the stun, has the shield on him, waiting for it to go off. There it goes. Myrmidon not going to go down just yet as the chicken flies in trying to deliver an item to a now dead Myrmidon as the Hellborn get wiped clean from the slate. In that nice exchange.
The only prop for the Hellborn on that team was the chicken. He got out alive. Congratulations to him.
Super
Team
chicken.
Genesis doing pretty well, and it looks like Beastar shouldn't be there right now. As Slither should not be there. And this might be where you see a little bit of an experience discrepancy. I mean, at the highest level of play, there's nothing to gain from going there. And
yeah, that tower's gone. You just got to sacrifice it at that point.
You have to give it up.
Have a Luna stand back and power throw from a distance so you can't keep pushing. But you know that's basically all you got to do is just you know, just try and sit back and they're going to go for a defense. Here they go. The TP's coming in. Are they going to be able to catch anyone? The 4-second arrow landing onto Soul Stealer as he comes around the corner. A stun coming out, only going to catch Bubbles on just the edge. Power throw going out to hit just Valkyrie. Very unfortunate for them to have really, I think they kind of wasted that. Since Behemoth doesn't have a portal key, he's not going to be able to get in there and land an awesome ultimate. And I think that if there's one thing lacking from the Hellborn right now, it's that really powerful initiation. You know, meanwhile, you've got the Legion who has Bubbles, who has his portal key, has his Shell Surf, all these different ways to get into a fight. They have a Magnus as well to follow up, even though he doesn't have his portal key yet. He's at 1,700 gold. He'll have it pretty soon. And, you know, they've got a really good initiation going for him, and that's what one of the benefits of getting their initiator farmed up early is that now they have that advantage in these team fights when it comes down to it, because that whole fight there came down to, I think Magnus in the initial part got shielded from a curse and went in, and then Bubbles followed it up, but... You know, once you get portal key on both those heroes, it's going to be...
I mean, I completely agree with you 100%. I think that this is a game that, hit point-wise, and most pro games are like this, there's not a lot of hit points on characters, are decided not decided, but the advantage is given early because there's a lot of offense and not so much defense. Accursed does provide some defense for the Legion team, but that's not so much the issue. When you have the advantage and the initiation that the Legion has, it really creates a giant problem for the opposing team when you have map control. I mean, I'm basically describing the three really important things to winning a Han game right now. You got map control, initiation, and some sort of survivability. Which I'm going to give to the Legion right now. It's not. I mean, I'm not trying to overemphasize this, but it does seem like they have control at 21-7, and maybe they shouldn't have as much control as they do, but they do have control.
I mean, with nearly an 11,000 gold and 11,000 experience, they've got control. What I was laughing at is Fade V's ward there in the Hellborn jungle right at the ramp. That is getting a whole lot of water pool right there that he's getting vision of, so nice warding. I think that was a little unfortunate missing the cliff there, but...
I was actually about to talk about their warding, and I'm glad you kind of pointed that out. It's a little...
It's been good warding otherwise,
it's a little tricky.
But that one in particular was just a little lulls-worthy. As we are going to see a little bit of the ward battle go out there, Dragunos setting up another Ward of Rev and taking down the Ward of Rev from the Hellborn. There was no Ward of Sight to take down, but that does mean that, you know, they're not getting spotted waiting for this gank, because we do go and see the portal key on Magmus now. Him and Bubbles both have their portal key. That's kind of why they're buddied up here, sitting next to this. They do throw Dragunos throwing up the Ward of Sight to set him up for a nice initiation. There it goes. Bubbles coming in with the blink. The ultimate getting pumped out from Magmus. There we go. Going out there, gets the ultimate off, lands a nice stun there. Might go down, doesn't really matter. Soulstealer, the only one worth mentioning here, still standing as he's getting chased back into the base. Behemoth going to try and get an ultimate out, doesn't really matter. Eating the Shell Surf and everything. The whole Hellborn team going down in a genocide. Nice team fight going out from Genesis Gaming here. Magmus and Bubbles just proving too much, combined with that Thunderbringer ultimate and everything there. It's just way too much team fight.
That is what I think we were kind of foreshadowing before, and apparently they agree. That was kind of the nail in the coffin. I don't blame them for letting go of the game at that point. I mean, it is a competitive game, but there's a giant goal discrepancy, and they just pretty much took control. I wouldn't have given up at that point, because a team can make a horrible mistake diving on a tower and get a 5-0, but... you know, props to Genesis Gaming or my team rather, for really controlling the map. I mean, I would not be biased. If we're losing, we're losing. We appropriately would lose. But we controlled the map and kind of out Yazer on, I'm sorry, Kate, who was it on Bubbles?
Zaxarock.
Zach, sorry. Yazer's brother, Zaxarock on Bubbles. Very under the radar, in my opinion, for watching this from teamfight perspective. He really, I mean, at 11-0, and now he's 13-0 and 8, really did some impressive things.
Oh yeah, I mean, he maintained control in his lane against the Slither, which, you know, admittedly should be difficult to do. And then once he got control of that, he did what he needed to. He left lane, which unfortunately allowed Slither to get some farm back, but... Like I said in the beginning, it's Slither, you know, like when a lot of these times these teams will say, okay, well, we'll go ahead and send Slither solo lane because he can handle it. Okay, well, you usually send him to a lane you're willing to lose. So that means that you're not really counting on him getting farm. So for Slither to have sat up there and said, oh, now's my chance to get some farm, he probably should have been doing what Bubbles was doing. And, you know, since he said, oh, Bubbles is gone, I probably need to go help my team too. So there might have been a little bit of lack of judgment there on when to move and when to do some things here. But, you know, we're not at the top ultimate tier here. I think that Gank Response Unit performed pretty well there up until the last few big team fights where they basically were demoralized and ultimately lost the experience in gold battle. But all in all, I say it was an enjoyable game.
Yeah, the game was actually a lot closer than it may have seemed by the end, because throughout the middle of it, if 2 or 3 of those team fights go the other way, it's a completely different game.
Well, I mean, the experience gap maintained, you know, less than 5,000 for a good majority of it, and then those last couple team fights sent it up to, you know, closer to 10,000, and then it went from 10,000 to 15,000, and then you had a couple people get picked off, and that sent it up closer to, you know, 20,000. So it was just a slow progressive, snowball effect, as we like to call it there. It slowly worked against him in the end. But this has been, I guess, this is a best-of-1 series from the UNGL Zowie Cup. We look forward to see Genesis Gaming moving forward into the 3rd round here. I'm not sure if we have any brackets on that. I'll try and include in the description below a link to the tournament information so you guys can follow Genesis Gaming, as well as be sure to visit their Facebook site. Do you happen to know what the link to that is? Or I can always put it in the description, so that way you guys can just check that as well.
We're going to need to put it in the description. It's a little complicated, but you can definitely search Genesis Gaming. You'll see us. You'll see posts like this on there, and that's probably the best way to go about doing it.
Alright, great. Well, thank you so much, Hatch, for joining me. I really appreciate it. Again, this has been Minoxen, bringing you the UNGL Zowie Cup best-of-1 series between Genesis Gaming and Gank Response Unit. Genesis Gaming claiming the round, moving forward, and we will catch you guys next time.